Hello students, hope you're all doing good. We are now going to start the second module of digital image processing. Now that you have studied the fundamentals of digital image processing in module 1, let us now move on to how image enhancement takes place. So in module 2, we are going to deal with basically image enhancement. In that, you're going to subdivide it into understanding image enhancement in two domains. So one is going to be the spatial domain and other is going to be the frequency domain. So the first focus will be on spatial domain where you will be studying some of the basic intensity transformation functions. Okay, so again, since there are few intensity transformation functions you're going to study, so we will be coming up with two videos for the same. So as I told you, in module 2, you'll be studying spatial domain as well as frequency domain transformations. So in spatial domain, first you'll be studying some basic intensity transformation functions followed by histogram processing, some fundamentals of how spatial filtering is done like smooth spatial filters, sharpening spatial filters. So these some of the spatial filters also you're going to study. And the next part, you'll be studying how image enhancement can be done using frequency domain. Since you're studying in DSP and also a little bit about in Fourier domain in signals and systems, here you'll be using those fundamental concepts and you'll be studying some preliminary concepts, discrete Fourier transform of two variables. So basically in DSP you studied for single variable. Here you will be studying for two variables. Why? Because this is a two-dimensional function. Image is a two-dimensional function. Then you will be studying the properties of the 2D DFT. Just like how you studied in spatial domain filtering, you'll also be studying filtering in the frequency domain. Again, image smoothing and image sharpening using frequency domain filters and then selective filters. So this is how the content of module 2 is arranged. So let's begin with spatial domain. So when I say spatial domain techniques, it means that these are the techniques which operate directly on the pixels of an image. That is in space. Spatial domain, frequency domain. Usually in other one-dimensional signals what we say time domain, frequency domain. Since here the coordinates are in space, it's a plane. It is x comma y. We call it as spatial domain. So what does that mean? Spatial domain techniques, they operate directly on the pixels of an image. But whereas in frequency domain, the operations are performed in the Fourier transform of an image. That is, we take the image, we take the Fourier transform and then apply some operations. But in spatial filtering, the operations taking place in spatial domain means we operate directly on pixel values. So compared to frequency domain filtering, this spatial domain filtering, it is more computationally efficient and requires less resource. So this is the advantage of spatial filtering over frequency domain filtering. That is, it needs less resources and it is computationally more efficient. So, how do we represent a basic operation of on an image? So, when we say an image, we represent it as f of x comma y. What is x comma y? That is the position of the pixel, and f of x comma y, it represents the intensity at that value. Intensity of that pixel value, right? So here if you see in the equation, we consider f of x comma y as the input image, g of x comma y, that is on the left hand side, is the output image, and can you see an operation t? What is that? So t is an operator on f. What is this operator on f? It is defined over a neighborhood of point x comma y. I repeat, t is an operator on f defined over a neighborhood of point x comma y. What is the meaning of that? This means that the operator can be applied to the pixels of a single image, that is going to be actually the prime focus. So basically it can be applied to the pixels of a single image or to the pixels of a set of images. So what is meant by applying to a set of images? I am trying to apply some operation over a set of images. It could be something like performing the element wise sum of a sequence of images for noise reduction, for example. So basically we want to do the image enhancement. So it could be on the same image, on a set of images, on a single image, or it could be pixels of a set of images. So such as you want to do some element wise sum of sequence of images for noise reduction. So if you can see this figure in front of you, so this is what we mean by the spatial domain actually. So I can call the this one as the x-axis and this one as the y-axis. Okay, so see, that depends on how you represent. Okay, so x, when I show like this, that means as the x varies we are going for different rows, as y varies we are going for different columns. Is that right? Okay, so what you can see here, as I told you, when we say we are going to apply an operation, it could be on a single image or a set of image. Okay, and I can do some operation around the pixel neighborhood. Correct. So if you see this figure, okay, we are going to see some basic implementation on on a single image. So we are going to mainly consider the prime focus is how to do some basic intensity operation on a single image. Okay. So let us consider that the center point, okay, is the say point x naught comma y naught. Okay, so let it be x naught comma y naught. Okay, okay. So some point x naught comma y naught. So the point x naught comma y naught is some arbitrary location in the image. Okay, and you can see that we have put some small box. Okay, so we can say that it is a 3 cross 3 box, or we call it as a 3 cross 3 neighborhood of x naught comma y naught. So when I meant g of x comma y is equal to t, an operator t on f of x comma y, it could be something meaning like, so the process what we are trying to do is something like moving the center of the neighborhood from pixel to pixel and applying that operator t to the pixels in the neighborhood to yield an output value at that location. Okay, so for example, if you think of this specific location x naught comma y naught, the value of the output image g. So let me say f of I am trying to apply the operation t on f of x naught comma y naught. Think that what I am trying to get is g of x naught comma y naught. So that output image g at those coordinates, I can tell it to be equal to the result of applying that t to the neighborhood. Okay, so I am applying some operation t on the neighborhood of the pixel x naught comma y naught to get g of x naught comma y naught. So this could be one of the operation t. So like that, t could be any operation. So here in this particular example, what you see here is that we have taken the pixel x naught comma y naught, applied the 3 cross 3 neighborhood, found some operation on that neighborhood 3 cross 3 and got g of x naught comma y naught. So one such thing is computing the average intensity of the pixel in the neighborhood. So g of x naught comma y naught could be finding the average of the pixels in the neighborhood of, in the 3 cross 3 neighborhood of x naught comma y naught. This could be one such t operation. Like that we can keep on moving the x naught comma y naught. I can take one more point, say here. Okay, you can take one more point here. Again draw a 3 cross 3 neighborhood and find the average intensity at that new point, and that could be the output g. So like that we can move this location and for each of the point find the average intensity in the 3 cross 3 neighborhood. As simple as that. So to get a brief overview again, so a spatial filtering, so it can involve operations over the entire image, or the operations can take place involving pixel within a neighborhood of a point of interest. So when we say that 3 cross 3 neighborhood and so on and so forth, so what we are trying to do is we are moving that pixel location x0 y0 to again one more location x1 y1 so on and so forth, or x0 y1 so on. Okay, and find the, say one of the example was averaging the intensity and finding the output. So basically that moving the position, as I told you that finding the neighborhood and moving the location. So the process starts at the top left of the input image and proceeds pixel by pixel in the horizontal scan. So horizontally I move from the topmost left pixel to the topmost right pixel. Again then go to the next row. Again start from left to right, next row, left to right, so on. Okay, so this spatial filter, what we say, we can also involve a predefined operation called a spatial filter, and this spatial filter has many names. For example, spatial mask, kernel, template, window, etc. Coming to the first specific type of processing, this is known as point processing. When you say a pixel, what is the smallest neighborhood of a pixel? That is 1 cross 1 in size. Okay, so here what I can say is that the smallest possible neighborhood is of size 1 cross 1, and in such a case that G, that output G, okay, where I say I am applying some operator T on that pixel or that image. So in this case G depends only on the value of at f at a single point x comma y. So what is the meaning of this? So here I told you, right? So we can apply the transformation on a single pixel or pixel point to point by point pixel or one image, or we can go for doing some operations over two or more images. But right now we will remove that focus. We are mainly focusing on one image. There in one image you can apply on neighborhood, you can apply on a single pixel itself, and so on. So the smallest possible is known as point processing, wherein the pixel is itself, that is it's 1 cross 1 in size. So here the output G depends only on the value of f at that particular point x comma y. So here we can tell that T is an intensity transformation function, and it could be something expressed in the form S is equal to T of R. So where S and R, okay, they represent the interest. So R, let me tell that f of x comma y is R. What is the meaning of that? X comma y is a single point. The intensity at x comma y, that is f of x comma y, let it be R. Okay, now we are applying some transformation T on that R and finding a new intensity value S. Is that right? This kind of mapping, that is from R to S, is known as gray level or mapping function. Here we have taken a single pixel, as simple as that, did some operation on that single pixel and change the intensity value. That's it. It is something like take an image, point by point, change the intensity value. This is as simple as that. This is one of the example of spatial domain transformation or intensity transformation. So let us consider two examples of intensity transformation. So we have two examples here. To the left, what I am going to explain is known as contrast stretching function, and the B, what you are going to see, is the thresholding function. Now what is this contrast stretching function? In the first example, or say in the second example also, the horizontal axis represents R and the vertical axis represents the function S is equal to T of R. So basically what you understand generally by contrast stretching, what is contrast? See, you say white and black are contrast. Red and maybe yellow or red and what yeah, some contrast you can think of, right? Okay, so red and maybe yellow, white and black. So these are some kind of contrast, right? Okay, so making white whiter and black blacker is like making it more contrast, right? So we are trying to stretch the contrast. So how can we obtain that? We can tell something like this. So we are trying to produce an image of higher contrast than the original by darkening the intensity level below, say, some value K, and brightening the levels above the value K. So what we are going to do is we are going to take a level K, and whatever is above level K we are going to brighten it. Brighten means what? Already the intensity value is high means what? It is more towards the whiter side. Intensity value is dark means what? Low means what? It is going towards the darker side. So this is known as contrast stretching. So in this technique known as contrast stretching, the values of R lower than K, okay, reduce the values of S towards black. The opposite we are going to apply for values of R higher than K. So if you see how an intensity value of R naught is mapped. So you can see here now, if whatever the value of R naught is there, it is now stretched. Okay, so the value is made more. Okay, so what you can see here, for example, S naught is equal to T of R naught. Same way, the value which is less than K, we are going to make it lesser. Okay, I hope you can analyze the figure 1. So making lighter value lighter, darker value darker. Okay, so that's why the curve looks like that. Okay, so if the value of R is less, keep R is less than K. So you see it is less. When the value of R is greater than K, say for example, we'll take the value R naught. So we have made the value much higher. Okay, so we are doing something known as contrast stretching. The next one is a simple value known as threshold function. So what do we do in threshold function? It is as simple as that. Set the threshold value K. Whatever is above the value of K, directly map it to the highest value. Whatever is below the value of K, directly make it the lowest value 0. So highest value if it is 255, whatever value is above, say, so suppose I have a range of value from 0 to 255. Okay, so if I take K value as 100, see whatever values say above 100, say 101, I make it 255, 110 make it 255, 200 make it 255. So any value above 100 make it 255. Whatever is value is below 100, say for example 50, make it 0. If it is 2 also make it 0. So this is known as thresholding function, as simple as that. Okay. So basically in thresholding you have only two values, either very high value or low value. Even that value mapping, if it may not be 255. I am just giving an example. If any value is greater than K, map it to one value. Any value less than K, map it to another value. Isn't it as simple as that? Of course, we will be studying more about thresholding and so on in the future modules. So let us note one thing, that though intensity transformation and we speak of spatial filtering, there actually a broad range of applications are available. Okay, when we speak of image processing or image enhancement. So when we speak of enhancement, so enhancement is the process of manipulating an image so that the result is more suitable than the original for a specific application. So when we speak of image enhancement, it depends on a particular application. For example, if we are speaking of X-ray images, okay, so whatever image enhancement technique applies for X-ray image may not be applicable for an infrared image. So there is no clear cut theory, okay, so this is better, this is better. So finally who are judges here? We humans, because finally as humans we should be able to extract some information, right? You have studied about human visual perception in the first module. So finally we humans are the best judges, okay. So however, depending on the application, we should apply some particular whatever enhancement technique best suits. So even when you do this image processing projects, we go through from some trial and error. Of course, there are predefined techniques which we from research which tells this is better for this, filtering is better for this application, this so on. But however, lot of research and lot of work is going on in terms of such transformations or image enhancement. And I'm very sure that you're going to love the process of trying out image enhancement. Of course, you are studying theory here, and when you do some carry out some simple programs using MATLAB or Python, and you do such things, it will really enhance or boost your learning capacity, or it will improve your the way you have understood, or you can apply the concepts what you have studied here. So now coming to some basic intensity transformation functions. So what you studied just now before, that is neighborhooding function, and single what is that single or point processing. So that and all is there. Okay, that and all is there. So basically when we speak of intensity transformation, they are the simplest of the image processing techniques. So what we used to do here, usually we will take that the pixel value R is there, and that is mapped on or transform, we perform some transformation and turn it to some value S. So I can say that S is equal to T of R, where R is nothing but the value of the intensity at the point X comma Y. And since we are more dealing with concerned with the digital data, we can have some sort of a simple lookup table where we can do such kind of transformation. For example, if the value of R is such and such, you apply this transformation, and if this is the value of R, this should be the value of S, or something like that. A simple lookup table as also can be considered. So, if you're thinking of trying to classify the different types of intensity transformation, we can think of as three basic types of transformation. One is called as the linear transformation, one is the logarithmic transformation, and the third is power law transformation. When we are speaking of linear transformation, it includes negative and identity transform. Logarithmic can be log and inverse log, so on. So one and opposite, the opposites also we consider into the same transformation. Okay, so when we say power law, it can be power or root of. Okay, so same way, negative, identity, log, inverse log. So these are the three basic types of transformation in terms of intensity, or the basic intensity transformation function. Let us look into it one by one. So I'll brief one by one sooner, but just to get you your feel. If this is the input level R and this is the output intensity level S, so identity means what? It is like keeping the same. Whatever is the value of R, the same is the value of S, or whatever. If the value of S is same as the value of R. What is negative? It is the ulta. So if input is 0, output should be 255, or input is 255, or output should be 0, or just take the reverse, or subtract from the highest value, right? If L is the highest value, say 255, if the input is say 50, then I should make it as 255 minus 50, so that should be the output. So how will be the slope? Slope will be like this. I think you can, this is very simple maths if you can think of. Same way you have the power function. So this is the nth power. Okay, correct? 2 means 2 power, say if I say 2 to power, so 1 becomes 1, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 16, so on, so like that. Same we can take off some nth root depending on the value of n. Okay, so that is there. Same way you have inverse log like this, you have log function like this. I think you know the how the curves look for different different functions. Starting with the first one, that is the image negative. I already told you what is image negative. So if R is the input, the output is yes. How do we define? I told you just now. So let L be now, L what, 256. So 256 levels are there, means what? We say from 0 to 255, correct? So if R value is 50, what will happen? If it is L is 256, so L minus 1 is 255. 255 minus 255 minus 50 is 205. So the output value is S is 205. So basically if the R is 0, the output should be 255. If R is 255, output should be 0. So we are basically the negative of an image with intensity levels in the range 0 to L minus 1 can be described like this. This is the equation, but I hope you understood this. So you will tell now, in olden days we had this reel, camera reel, we call it as negative. Okay, so when you go we had you might I don't know if you have seen a negative image, negative, or reel. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to give it to the studio, and those people will process that negative, and it will be the opposite actually. So if you see in that negative, if you observe, you will get the opposite. What is, our hair will look white there, and when we process and get the actual print of the that picture, it will be black. Of course if you have white hair, the negative will be black, so on like that. Okay, so that is the image negative. So how to get the original picture? You have to do the negative, you have to apply the negative transformation or find the image negative. Actually, one thing I cannot go back to the previous slide now because the recording will change. You can go to the previous slide. There was an image. Actually, that is the image of a digital mammogram. Okay. Sometimes some of the entities are better seen in the negative than in the positive. So negative need not be about that example which I gave, where take the real and take the negative. No, for any image we can apply the image negative transformation and see whether you can get some better image, in a better extract some better information from the negative of the image also. So you can go back to the previous slide or a few seconds back and see the digital mammogram and try to see there are two images there, left and right. So one is the original image and one more is the negative. So coming to the next transformation is the log transformation. So the log transformation basically is of the form S is equal to C log 1 plus R. So if you have the input intensity value as R, so we do 1 plus R, take the log of 1 plus R and multiply with C. So here C is a constant, and of course R is should be a value greater than or equal to 0, as it is an intensity value. Now, if you go back to that curve where I showed, the negative, the log transform, the anti-log curve, etc. If you see the log curve, it shows this transformation that it maps a narrow range of low intensity values in the input to a wider range of output levels. So it is basically trying to stretch to the making it a wide range of output levels. For example, if you think of input levels in the range 0 to L by 4, if you go back to that slide where I have shown that figure of figure of how the various curves look. So if it is in the range 0 to L by 4, the output range is from 0 to 3 L by 4. However, the higher values of the input levels means it is made a narrower range in the output. So if the input range is lower, the range is stretched higher, and the input range is higher, it is stretched to output range to be lower. So basically it maps a narrow range of low intensity values in the input to a wider output range. That is a logarithmic function, right? So basically even the opposite is true for high intensity input values. So basically what are we trying to tell here? It compresses the dynamic range of images with large variations in the pixel values. So what you see here is such an example. So the figure A is actually it's a Fourier spectrum. Okay. So then by applying the log transformation, so what we get in the right side is by applying the log transformation in the same equation what I have told you, that what is that, S is equal to C log 1 plus R. So what we have done here is C is a constant, so here C is taken to be 1. So basically it is a kind of image enhancement what you can see, because the dynamic range is spread, right? So the image can be enhanced basically by applying the log transformation. So it depends on application to application. Okay, so basically here the image of the Fourier spectrum is enhanced using a fairly large dynamic range. So the next kind of transformation is the power law transformation or the gamma transformation. Here it is, the equation is the form S is equal to C into R power gamma. So C and gamma are positive constants. So what happens here? So basically if the value of gamma is fractional, okay, so power law occurs with fractional values of gamma. If the value of gamma is fraction, so the mapping from R to S, so it maps a lower range of dark input values to a wider range of output values. If the range of dark input values is low, we are going to stretch it and make it a wider range of output values. Same way it is opposite is true for high values of input levels. Okay, so if the input levels is higher, so then you have to map it in the opposite way. So there exists a family of possible transformation curves by varying gamma. So I am going to show that curve in the next slide. So this is how the power law gamma transformation curves looks. So the gamma, as I told you, so if the gamma is 1, okay, it is a straight line. If it is a fractional value, see, these are the fractional lower values. Okay, so you see, I want you to analyze yourself just like how you have analyzed the log function. So you can see how it varies, and same if the gamma value is greater than 1, okay, so how it is. Okay, so I think you can observe this yourself and analyze. Okay, so this transformation or the power law transformation, or we call it as a gamma transformation, we also can call it as gamma correction, and many devices actually use this many devices used for image capture, display and printing, they respond according to a power law. Okay, so you can see here, that's why in that equation that power is a gamma, right? So the exponent in the power law equation we refer to as the gamma, and the process of correcting for the power law response is known as the gamma correction. We'll understand it. Let's take some example. We have this CRT devices. Okay, they have an intensity to voltage response that is a power function. So basically that range of that power function or the gamma function will be in the range 1.8 to 2.5. So one such device, how it responds to gamma correction. So basically the gamma correction in this case can be applied by you are trying to apply the transformation like this. How is it? So S is equal to R into C, what is that? S is equal to C into R power gamma. So depending on the value of R here, so C here, so C can be taken, say for example 1. So here the gamma is taken to, for example 2.5, or if basically it's 1 by 2.5 or 0.4. So like that, some sort of gamma correction is done. So this is how the that image and how the gamma correction is done. So I told you how the dark intensity values is stretched. So you can see here. So let us understand using a figure than the equation. So think of this as the original image. Okay. So if you think of the gamma correction, so original image as viewed on the monitor is like this. So the below two are the gamma corrected image. I want you to a little more browse on this. What is this gamma corrected image? And I think we are already 33 minutes of the video. So another example of gamma correction is again an MRI example. So here also gamma correction is applied. So you can see here, so the image A is the MRI of a fractured human spine, and whatever image A means the left top and B is the right top and C is the left bottom and D is the right bottom. So A is the MRI of the first one. So B, C and D we are going to do by applying the transformation, where C we are going to take it as 1. So the first one, the image B, is when gamma is equal to 0.6, image C is when gamma is equal to 0.4 and image D is when gamma is equal to 0.3. So as I told you, the analysis of image is how humans can perceive it. So we can ask some doctors here to tell what information you analyze from which these gamma corrected images. So same way, this is how gamma correction was applied for the aerial image obtained from some from NASA. So aerial image obtained, and you can see how you can make it more darker to some side. Initially you can see how the here you can also observe that the intensity levels are changing, and how by trying different levels. Simply we should not try, but we should know what is happening when gamma is changing, and C is a constant of course, but here the more power is to the gamma value because it is a power, right? It's a power law transformation. So by changing the value of the gamma, we can go for different types of image enhancement here. So that's about the first video on basic intensity transformation. So see you in the next class. So thank you, students.